It comes as some relief to know that the financial wealth generated by the economic boom was not all squandered, but during the Celtic Tiger era, a number of transport projects in particular were put in place that will benefit Dubliners for many years to come. We have 2 new pedestrian bridges over the Liffey, the Port Tunnel, the recently opened Calatrava-designed Samuel Beckett Bridge, while not forgetting the practically completed M50 upgrade, and last but not least, the Lewis. However, these large projects do not come cheap, as the cumulative cost ran into billions. And do they make it any easier to get around the city? After all, motorists are being asked to drive at 30 kilometres or 18 miles per hour. We have city centre free-flow traffic systems that seem to take you through Portlaoise to get from O'Connell Street to Grafton Street, while the hard-pressed motorist is being asked to fork out €1.30 for a litre of petrol. So is there any good news? Well, today we're going to look at 2 initiatives that have hit the streets in the past few months that are eco-friendly, wallet-friendly, and cost little or nothing to operate. It might seem that they've been around for ages, but Dublin City's free bicycle scheme has only been in place for 6 months, having been launched by Dublin City Council in September 2009. In a public-private partnership arrangement, Dublin City Council are working in tandem with the European outdoor advertising giant JC&Co, so that the service is provided practically free of charge. JC&Co operates similar schemes in Paris, Brussels and Madrid, whereby they provide the bicycles, the stands and other equipment at no cost, excepting that in return they are given permission to erect dozens of their distinctive display advertising signs on footpaths throughout the capital. Now, the first thing those of you in my age category will notice that this latest development in 2-wheel technology bears an uncanny resemblance to the Rally 20, the biggest selling but not very trendy bicycle in the 1970s. So let's find out what the users think. Yeah, do you find the bikes themselves, are they reliable?
They're very strong, really strong bikes. The tyres are quite thick as well, so you don't get many punctures, and they kind of have a reflective light on them as well, so it's quite safe for travelling at night time as well if you're on them.
Most people think it's a free service, but there is a cost if you ride them for a certain amount of time. Do you find you have to pay, or is it a free service?
No, I have the yearly subscription, so I think it was €25 at the time, and that covers it. So as long as I don't go over half an hour, I don't have to pay any more.
Tell me, is it dangerous to cycle around the streets of Dublin?
Yes, I find it dangerous sometimes because in many areas no cycling lanes are in existence, and I say yes, it is. Sometimes it is dangerous.
Yeah. And compared to other European cities that you've probably cycled in, is Dublin easier or more difficult to cycle?
In terms of traffic, I find it easier, but in terms of cycling lanes, it'll be more difficult, as I can compare with Paris, London, and Amsterdam, Vienna too. It'll be much easier there.
Yeah. Well, the weather, I think, in Dublin today is as good as any of those cities.
Yes, it's lovely, just lovely.
Eco-cabs are a new age rickshaw bicycle with an eye-catching ad wrap that allows the advertising to pay for the cost of the vehicle and the driver's salary, so that the trip is entirely free for the grateful passenger. First and foremost, do you have to be fit to do this work?
Not particularly fit. We generally do about 40 kilometres a day, so it is. There is a relative level of fitness that is needed, but you don't need to be super fit or anything. I wasn't when I started, but they do weigh about 150 kilograms, so you do need to have a bit of muscle built up, but not too much. Too much.
And do you have to know your way around the city, or do you have a sat nav, or how do you get around?
It's just general knowledge. We obviously go through basic training to make sure that we know when we start first, we know where we're going, things like that.
And tell me, the service is free, the passenger doesn't pay?
Nope, not at all. They're not obliged to pay anything at all. It's a free service that's sponsored by the Northern Ireland Tourist Board. We also have 7-Up eco-cabs also, and there's a few other in the pipeline coming through too.
Yeah. And tell me, tips, do you get a tip, or do people usually leave a tip?
Sometimes people tip, but they're not obliged at all to tip. There's no obligation. It's completely paid for by the sponsor.
And can you tell us what's the most interesting passenger that you've actually had in the eco-cab?
It was Johnny Cash's brother. He was doing a tour and just got to talk to him, and we met Elvis and people like that, so it was very interesting to talk to him.
Well, certainly there are very few people from Dublin or Tipperary who've met Johnny Cash's brother.
Exactly.
The last question, and I've been asked to ask you this, but do you have to be good looking to get this job?
Well, obviously not.
Okay, so we've seen two alternative ways of getting around the city for free. Both seem to serve their intended purpose and are catching on with Dubliners and visitors alike. Now, I've tried my hands and my feet at both, and I wonder which one would I choose to take me home. I think I've made up my mind.